G'day Plantifyers, Jess here and welcome back to the garden. So it has been a very busy week here in the garden. We're still getting lots of food for our salads because of course winter is salad season here in the subtropics. It's when we can grow our lettuces and all of those sorts of leafy greens without them getting destroyed or bolting too fast. Check out this nasturtium. The leaves are like as big as my head. It's crazy. I've never seen one with such big leaves before. So it's a lovely time of year. The skies are blue. The weather has started to get actually cold. Winter has finally arrived. And this is the time of year where it's all systems go in the garden, especially for big garden projects, some of which I'm going to share in this video today. But we've got the normal planting things and harvesting things. Here I'm planting some supermarket shallots that I basically bought for a recipe, and I had some left over, so I thought I would just plant them and see what happens. So I guess we'll just wait and watch. This is the right time of year to plant shallots, thankfully, so hopefully they will do okay in this spot here. You can see I've got some onions in there as well and some chives, some garlic chives next to them. And another thing, this has been a bit of a challenging month for me because I'm currently treating my face with a chemotherapy cream called fluorouracil to kill precancerous cells so that I hopefully don't get any more skin cancers on my face because I've had a few already. So that means most of this video you're going to see me outside at dusk. Otherwise I have to wear this get up to be outside. So you're going to see a lot of Nick in this video as he does stuff outside. Now this is from a swap that I went to recently and I got a bunch of lemons. We have a ton of oranges. We have a ton of orange trees, but no lemon trees. Well, one, but it's not really producing yet. I also swapped a bunch of our oranges for a bunch of lemons from a friend of mine. So this week was processing all of those lemons in a couple of different ways. So one was dehydrating them, and I use them in, gin cocktails or to decorate. And then I also juiced a bunch of them because I saved the juice for recipes. The easiest way, of course, to do this is to save it in ice cube trays. So that's what I do. And I always strain my juice because I can't stand bits. I'm an anti-bit person, so I need to have nice bit-free juice. So yeah, we just pop the lemon juice into the ice cube tray and then I freeze them, and then I pop them out and put them in a container and keep them in the freezer. And that's a really convenient way to freeze lemon juice because you always have it in like a serving size. The only downside of this is if your freezer goes off for any reason, which happened last year during the summer storm season, and all of the ice cubes turned into one big giant ice block. But hopefully that won't happen this year, fingers crossed. Another thing I like to do with my citrus, especially with the skins, because otherwise you would just throw them in the compost, right, is turn them into candied skins. So I've done this with pomelos, I've done it with oranges, I've done it with lemons, I've done it with limes. And basically you just want to cut the skin into strips and take as much of the pith off as possible because the pith is, bitter. And then I just use equal parts of sugar and water to make a simple syrup. And then after boiling the lemon skins a couple of times and tipping the water out, so you're trying to take out the excess bitterness, so you do that 3 or 4 times, and then once you've done that you can pop them into the sugar solution and cook them down. It takes a little while, but you just have to check on it every so often and make sure that they're cooking nicely, and then once they look like this they're pretty much done. And then I take them, cool them down after I've strained them, and then shake them in like a bag or a container of sugar to coat them in crystallized sugar, and then dry them out. And then they're ready to eat basically. So another thing you can do if you want to get super fancy is then dip them in dark chocolate, which I also strongly recommend, and you're left with some lemon syrup. So we harvested our first bananas, another exciting thing that's happening this week. So many things. And we've been keeping our eye on this for a while. We've had this plant in the ground for I think 2 years now. So this is the first harvest that it's given us. I think we picked them at the right time. You tell me, have a look. You're going to see them close up soon. I did look it up and okay, it should be this long until you pick your bananas and then, let them ripen off the plant. But I'm no expert. This is literally the first time I've ever harvested bananas. So hopefully these were at the stage they needed to be. And then we just chopped and dropped the banana that we took it from. Okay, so this is exciting. I'm going to let past me tell you exactly what's going on here now.
Welcome to what's going to be our new veggie garden.
So this is our big project that we have been waiting to do for like 6 months, but the rain had to stop first, is to do the next phase of our garden. So you can see the little pond that we've just put in, haven't finished with that. And we've built this, well, Nick has built this wall, this retaining wall out of stones from around our property, put this little pathway in, these little stairs. And basically we're transforming this entire lawn area into garden beds. So we've done a lot of that this week, putting up that retaining wall and prepping this bed here along the wall, which I'm going to show you later in the video what I'm doing with that. That's actually been planted out. So we've got clay soil, and this also has a lot of like little rocks and stones and stuff in it. So it was a bit of a pain to clean it out, get the grass out of it, and rake it clean. So there was a bit of work involved in just getting this garden bed ready because of all of those things, but it was worth it if it pays off, because I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with this garden bed. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that is in a few minutes, but we also spent a lot of time talking and planning, and we kind of have a clear idea of what we're doing up here, and it's very exciting. Another project that we got done this week was this. Nick made us like a top for the pond, because that white fiberglass pond really stands out and looks a bit stark in the garden. So we wanted to kind of tone it down a bit, and we thought this was the quickest, easiest way to do that by just making a top for it. All right, let's see. Oh man, that looks so good. It just softens it and helps it to blend in a bit more with the environment rather than it being this big white elephant in the middle of the garden. Nick just popped a couple of these little bumpers basically on each corner to hold it in place, nothing too complicated, and that's now been installed, and that was kind of step next on this garden journey. So I was very happy with how that came out. And there's a lot more to do with this pond, and I'm going to do a whole video on that when it's done, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see that when it happens. Okay, so the wall is done, the steps are done, the pond lid is in. Now it's time for some no-dig garden. We have been hoarding this cardboard for like 6 months. We had a much bigger pile that's like half empty, and it was time to finally use it. So we have runner grass, and it's awful to deal with. Alice, look for Alice, she's coming up. Did you see her? Nick told me after he did this video that he put that in there. I thought it was pretty funny. So yeah, we're doing no dig approach to just smother the grass, because like I said, trying to actually dig it out and deal with it is really difficult. So we're doing it the easy way. So this was my bed that I prepared just the other day. Nick just popped all the mulch on it because apparently the birds were coming and eating the worms, and he didn't want the worms to be murdered by the birds, so he put mulch on it to protect it until I got out there in the late afternoon to prepare it. So it has natural soil and also some tip mulch. Well, it actually was more like soil from about a year ago that we just had in a pile and we let rot down. And then this is some old fertilizer I literally didn't know we had, but I found in the big shed. So I thought, why not put that in this little bed here, see what happens. Because my aim and what I'm planning and what I've done in this bed here, because I could prepare it now rather than waiting, is a flower garden. But not just any flower garden. I decided that I was going to try a little bit of chaos gardening. So I have raked in the fertilizer, I have wet it down significantly, tried to get all of the big chunky bits out and prepare this soil properly, ready for planting. And then I went to my seed collection and we decided what we were going to plant for this. And here it is. So this is all the seeds I've put in. You can see there's some bee balm, nasturtium. I also put in some herbs, snapdragons, many types, some belly buttons, borage, various everlasting daisies, which is an Australian native, violas, cornflower. What else have we got? We've got some mulla, some phlox, some aster, chamomile, another aster, another cornflower, dahlias, stock, bergamot. I didn't put the bee-friendly flower mix in, calendula, and another dahlia. So I just put a whole bunch of seeds in a bowl. These are all seeds that should germinate at this time of year, or soon, if not right now, but I just had such a huge collection. I'm like, I need to put this somewhere, and I want to just try this whole chaos gardening trend that's been going around and just see what I can do in one garden bed. So I popped them all in there and I mixed it up, and I decided to put a few herbs in as well, because why not try to make it a little bit productive as well as beautiful. So those are all herbs that germinate this time of year as well. So let's go out and pop these seeds into my new garden bed. Very excited about this. I also put a few nasturtiums, and I've of course planted them separately because they need to be actually planted into the soil because of the size of the seed. So I just scattered them all over this prepared garden bed, and we will see what happens. Again, I will do a whole video on this once it actually grows and report back on whether this was a success or a failure. So again, if you're not already a subscriber, make sure to subscribe, and you'll see that video pop up in a couple of months' time once we see the result. But I'm really hoping that I get a beautiful, bountiful, colourful bed full of flowers here, because I think that will look so nice. And we can actually see this like outside of our bedroom window. So that would be really lovely to see in springtime. So now Nick has continued on with the journey. He's basically found a whole bunch of old logs. I think this was like under our old deck that we got redone. It's probably a treated pine log, but it's from so long ago that I think it'll be fine. And then just a whole bunch of other logs from trees we've had to cut down around the property, and we've made the garden beds. Now this had to be cut down because it was shading. There's another garden, it was shading it in winter, but they also just were getting so big and straggly and just looking pretty rough. So we've cut these all down, and we used the leaves as part of our no-dig gardens. So we've got mulch underneath, like just old browns, and then we put the greens on. And we did cut these up, actually. This is just step one. Nick went back and actually cut them all up so they were not like blocking the water from getting through. But that was a really good use of those greens from that tree that we had to cut down. And you can see we've got a couple of new garden beds. I think we have like 5 new garden beds now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. And it's a bit of a weird space and a weird configuration, but it has to be that way because where the grass patch still is actually where we drive if we have to drive around the property. So we needed to keep a width of grass that you can drive on. So that's why we haven't taken the garden all the way across that space. We've left basically a driveway. And then Nick's done a whole bunch of layers of soil from elsewhere, topsoil that we had from elsewhere on the property, and some sugarcane mulch, and then this old blind we found just to hold it all down and keep the turkeys out of it while it sort of settles a little bit. And that's pretty much where we're up to. Of course, the plan is to then put wood chip down and finish the rest of these garden beds, but I'll report back on that in a future video, and I will do a whole video on this entire process in more detail in the future. Again, so sub if you want to see that. But I'm really excited and happy with this whole new garden that's emerging. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here in Serenity Valley. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know what you enjoyed most about today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.